Did you know that your possibilities are endless? They really are. You won't want to miss this next segment on Generational Wealth, the next generation for people of color. Stay tuned. Well, good afternoon. I'm so glad you both can make it. So we're here with Linal Harris and his mother, Mildred. Let me know, who are you, as if we didn't know, and what do you do for those that may not know? So
all right,
we'll start with you, Linal.
Okay.
Yes.
So who am I?
Yes.
I would call myself, a possibility agent, and a transformer. In terms of, I help people transform their lives, take their lives to the next level. So that's part of who I am. I'm also a father. I'm also a husband. I'm also an entrepreneur. And so that's a little bit about who I am in the world, ultimately.
And what is it that you actually do?
So what I do is, I'm the president and founder of Insights for Life Coaching, where we coach executives, celebrities, athletes, or anyone who's willing to make some type of change, make the commitment, make the investment to completely transform and change their lives.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And we're here with your mom, Mildred. Mildred, who are you?
Hi, Tracy.
What do you do as
well? When I think of who I am, the first thing, I'm a mother.
Yes.
I'm a teacher. And I'm a budding entrepreneur.
Yes.
And, I love helping people and helping them to actually do what they do better. And parenting is really my passion. And so that's what I am. I'm a parent. I'm a mother. And I would like to take my parenting into my entrepreneur. I help families with finances. I'm doing that now. And with that, I'd like to also branch out into helping families with their parenting issues.
That's fantastic. So tell me about your relationship. How would you describe this mother-son relationship?
My mom? Oh, well, so my mom, it's been through many transitions. Let's say that, right? I think that as a child, ultimately, I watched my son with his mother, right? And there's a very special bond. And we have a bond, but I'm not his mom, right? He's very clear of that. And so we had that part of our relationship. And then we had the rocky part through the teenage years, where I couldn't stand my mother. I mean, I just was,
I wasn't trying to be liked.
And that's what she always says. And I didn't like her. And then you get past that, and I think in my early 20s, when I was really struggling in life, is when a lot of the words and wisdom she shared with me began to come back, and I saw that it was true, and the appreciation I had for my mom and who she is spiked. And since then, it's been rising.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. So what was it like growing up with this entrepreneur, leader, man of possibilities?
When Linal was a little boy, he was strong-willed. And I saw as a child that he knew what he wanted to do. And it wasn't always what I wanted. He became the oldest child very quickly because my second son was born not even just a little bit more than a year later. So he became a big brother right away. And so because of that, he had to have responsibility. And I saw, just as a child, the discipline that he had as far as being able to, as far as responsibility. I would give them, both of them, an apple. And I said, okay, hold on, put your apple in your pocket. We're going to go to the mall. Later on, you're going to get to eat your apple. The baby boy would eat his apple right away. And Linal would hold on to his apple. That he knew that when he got ready to eat his apple, his brother was going to want it, but he had his apple. He had the discipline of delayed gratification way back then. Way back then. And I saw that, and I knew that I had to work with him, and I told him that he didn't like chocolate because it got his fingers dirty. And I told him, if you don't like getting your hands dirty, you're going to have to fill your brain up. Because if your brain isn't full of information, you're going to have to use your hands. And he took me serious on that. And so he was very good at school, and he was an overachiever. in that sense when it comes to his academics. And so he set the bar pretty high for the rest of the children.
Wow. And how many siblings did you have?
5. So there's 6 of us
5.
all together. I'm the oldest of 6.
So that leadership
Yeah.
skill came in right away.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I don't know if my younger brothers always listen to me, but I tried.
Wow. What was the greatest obstacle, would you say, growing up that you had to overcome quickly?
The greatest obstacle, I would say not really being clear on who I was and what I was supposed to do. I think we had lots of conversations about that. I think that's something that really ran through my mind because I saw people who were successful. I didn't know if I really wanted to do what they did, right? And to share that type of success. So you see people who are doing things, but it's like, well, do I like that? Am I passionate about that? And in some ways, when you know how to do multiple things, that can be a bit of a struggle because there's so many different things you could do,
Yeah.
and you're not sure where to go. So in a lot of ways, I was stuck. That was one of my biggest obstacles. Like, what will I do? Who will I be? What will I go after? And I struggled with that for quite some time until the age of about 23.
What happened?
Well, I met a mentor who introduced me to a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and in his mentorship, long story short, he basically pushed me to identify my purpose on the planet. And in his mentorship, he instructed me that this is the key. Like, purpose is the key for you. This will lead you to where you want to go, to the life you want to live. And I believed him because he was successful, so
Yeah.
obviously he must know. And he had very interesting teaching tactics. He wasn't the easiest mentor in the world. But that is basically the path I began to take. And year after year, following that purpose, different opportunities will open up. And I would always ask myself, does this align with my purpose? And if it did, I would say yes. If it didn't, no matter how painful it would be to say no, I said no. And I'm really happy that I followed that process.
Wow.
Really happy. Yep.
Now, you did a workshop called Purpose, Power, and Possibilities.
That's right. Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so purpose, power, possibility is basically helping people distinguish their purpose on the planet. And I hold it that when you know your purpose, it allows you to powerfully move forward in your life. Because it's kind of your North Star. You know where you're going. So instead of hedging, instead of kind of wondering, you can powerfully step forward. And when we powerfully step forward in our lives, it unleashes a world of possibility. And so anything that we dream is possible when we follow that path.
Yes.
Yep.
I'd like to talk a little bit about mentorship. Now, I know you are an amazing mentor. What would you say for people that don't have a mentor, Mom? How can they find one? What should they do?
Well, you have to be careful who you choose as a mentor because you're taking on not only their professional expertise, but many times you're taking on their value system as well. And so I would say that I would look for a person that I can admire as far as their integrity and how they conduct themselves in their personal life as well as their business. And then it choose the person who's doing something successfully in the area that you want to do it. You know, for myself, when I was a young person and raising my children, parenting was my purpose. And so I sought out women that I admired the way they were parenting their children, not just people who had a bunch of children.
Right.
People who I saw the results. So I sought out women that I felt was doing a good job and asked them advice.
Yeah.
You know, and as a result, I'm able to give advice. But anyone who wants advice, I think you want to follow someone who has not only the skills in the area that you want to go to, but their value system as well, because it's hard to pick and choose. You're going to absorb what they say, and they're coming from an angle based on their values.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, with your mentor, is he still your mentor, or you've gotten
No,
others?
he passed away some time ago.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry
he
to
passed
hear
away
that.
some time ago. But in terms of other mentors, I do have other mentors, and I also have a term I call virtual mentorship, where you can be mentored by anyone
Yes,
who's made an
good.
impact on your life, dead or alive.
Yes.
So I've chosen virtual mentors where I read their books, I
Right.
consume their speeches, and try to take on the learning from them for what they accomplish in their lives during that time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Question. For those that are listening to this or watching it, and they say, well, your life just seemed to be just so beautiful. You didn't have much going on, nothing negative, because from the way it looks, you had a great mom, you had great parents, you're doing great things, but I'm not like that at all. I'm just stuck. What would you tell them?
The first thing I would say is don't always believe what you see.
That's right.
Yeah. Because in the world of social media, you see the highlight reel. So what people don't often see is they don't see the struggles.
That's right.
They don't see the behind the scene prayers and the tears and often the resistance that we're up against when we're creating what we put on a highlight reel, right?
That's right.
So that's the first thing. Don't always believe what you see. It's only part of the story. The second thing is that we all have our struggles. And I think it's Frederick Douglass who said that there's no struggle, no progress.
That's right.
And so where's the gold in the mud in your life? Like what gold is in that struggle that's refining you for that thing that you're supposed to do? And so instead of avoiding the struggle, step into it
Yeah.
and look for the lesson.
So for those that are budding entrepreneurs, they're looking for some advice. So we'll ask Mom, and then we'll
Okay.
ask you, Linal. Some advice for budding entrepreneurs.
Well,
I know you are
I'm
also
right
budding.
there.
Yes, right.
And the one thing that I'm learning to do is to stop second guessing myself. I often hear one of our mentors here in our office, Matt Zapala, he says that sometimes we can't wait until we're perfect. We just have to get out there and do what we have to do. And I think that that's important because we're our worst critics. And when you're around people who have been doing what you want to do, and they tell you to go, sometimes you just have to. Linal says, "Do it afraid."
Yes.
Afraid.
Do it afraid.
That's right.
And I'm blessed to have my son doing what he's doing, because many times I struggled throughout my young life being able to do too many things well, but didn't let one thing really shoot to the top. And an older person, minister that passed away some time ago, he said, we can have so many irons in the fire till you have no fire in your irons.
Wow. That's
And-
powerful.
And I remembered that. And so I think one of the things as a budding entrepreneur, you have to determine which iron you're going to fire
That's good.
That's good advice.
and stick with that.
Yeah.
And I think that will help.
Wonderful advice. Linal,
I would say go big or go home.
go big or go home.
And what I mean by that is set big, audacious goals. I think all too often we're afraid of failure. So I don't want to go for it all because I don't want to fail. But there's no way to get it all unless you go for it. And what happens if you get just half? You set $1 million goal and you get half. Okay, you failed. But you get $500,000.
Right.
So I
Right.
say go big. Go big all the time, set goals, and learn the science of goal setting. I think that's really important because as entrepreneurs, goal setting is one of the key competencies that you have to use to be successful. So learn that science.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Generational wealth. The next generation for people of color. What can you say to people of color that are watching this? Give them some advice, encouragement to know that it's their time. It's our time.
Yeah.
So, Mom.
Well, I can say that from my standpoint, I'm not from a family that has generational wealth, but I do believe that there's always a starting point, and I feel like it can start with us. And I know even in
It will start with us.
yes, well, even
Yeah.
in the way raising children, I had to break away from what I saw and I did it different, and I got a different result, and I'm happy with the result that I got.
Yes.
And I feel the same way financially. We have to be willing to break away from what we saw in the past.
Yes.
All of this just careless spending and just got to have it right now. That got us nowhere fast.
Yes.
Break away from that get instruction that there is a proper way to handle money,
Yes.
even though we think we can do it ourselves, and get the instruction and break that trend. We have to break it in order for us to establish something new.
Linal.
So I'm gonna go back to the story my mom told about the apple, because when I think about generational wealth, it's just like that apple. And for me, I want to make sure my son gets a slice of the apple, or at least a seed, so he can grow the full apple tree. And when I think about generational wealth, my advice would be vision. Like, what is your vision for the future? For me, what drives me is my vision for my son, my vision for my grandchildren, and what I want to be able to kind of leap start them with as a result of that vision.
Yes.
And so then that's what I'm doing for generational wealth, right? What can I put in place to ensure that that legacy will stand? Wills, trusts, insurance plans, whatever
Yes.
products, things that I can do legally to ensure that our wealth stands.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Linal Harris, Mildred Harris, thank you so much for our segment of generational wealth for the next generation. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.